Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of February 5th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone to please silence all electronic devices at this time. I would like to ask you to please stand for the invocation and pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Wells. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens were given an opportunity to comment on any item coming before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment on items placed in the future board agenda and other business under their purview. Public comment for public hearing items be taken this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer located at the podium will start a countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound and the light changes from green to yellow, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After the time is up, 2 beeps also sound. The light will change from yellow to red, indicating the 3 minutes are up and you're to close your comments. Do we have a sign-up sheet?
I do not have one.
We're gonna get one, maybe.
I think there were a couple people signed up.
Okay. Okay. The clerk will read the name of those to come speak.
I have Joseph Steffens, followed by Christy Zimmer. You go ahead and step up to the podium, and then if Ms. Zimmer,
There you go.
Christy Zimmer could stand,
Yeah.
just be prepared.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Steffens. I live at 4045 Cox Drive, Land O'Lakes, Florida. I'm here on the issue of roofs on docks. We've discussed it a few times before. This is not my first time before the commission. I've already had some individual meetings and brought people up and had discussions outside of the commissioners' meeting with Commissioner Moore over the past year. So our issue really is freshwater docks, boathouses, boat lifts, things that, especially roofs of freshwater docks, to protect boats, protect the investment, protect the people in the way of life that's been in Land O'Lakes and the central Pasco area forever and ever. I mean, I don't have to show you PowerPoint to look at the aerial photographs and see everybody has a boathouse in all the freshwater lakes to protect their investments. When they buy property, they expect that's what they're gonna get. They think that's what comes with the environment, sometimes passed down through generations, sometimes new in the area. When they look around, they say, this is the way of life I want. They see it, they expect it. And however the situation came, where in this particular, the freshwater lakes, mostly central Pasco area, where this law got passed, where there's no roof, public opinion is nobody even believes it. No, when I talk to people about it, they go, what? Whether I'm in this county, I'm also a marine contractor, so I build a lot of docks. I work in Hillsborough mostly now, because I have to, because that's where the work is, because I can't do most of my work here. But the point being is, even other counties in this county, most people don't even believe this is the situation until it gets into their backyard. So I deal with it all the time. I think that it needs to be the attention of the commissioners to say, this is not what we're really looking for, and however this happened, but I think they can make some real changes and get this thing back where it should be. I don't think we need to talk about flat roofs versus pitched roofs. We can talk about total height of roofs. We don't need to talk about covering boats versus covering decks. It's really not that important. In the other counties, they don't do that. Now, they do talk about total square footage, how big it can be, maybe how tall it can be, but they don't completely wipe it off the books. They still allow it, especially in Hillsborough County, where I work most of the time. Pinellas County, they still do. Hernando County, they do. So Pasco County has stood out amongst itself as a place that, what are you talking about? Why can't we do what everybody's been doing for generations? And I really want to see something change on this. And I think we got the ball moving where we can hopefully get back in the perspective where people are real about, this is the area we live in, this is what people expect. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your comments. Ms. Zimmer?
Followed by Ms. Zimmer will be Sandy Graves.
Good morning, Christy Zimmer, 3615 Pinecone Court, Land O'Lakes, Florida, and with me is Ronaldo Charles. He bought the house out on Bellamy Brothers Boulevard at the corner of Fisher Lane and Bellamy Brothers. Prior to purchasing that property, we communicated with the county with regard to a demolition order that had been submitted. The prior owner had worked with Mr. Mastri, Anthony Mastrocola, whatever, I can't say his last name. Anyway, he did quite a bit of work, and then they postponed the demolition order, and this gentleman decided he wanted to buy it. He bought it in October of 2018. He worked with the county prior to and subsequent working with Lisa Hatter, and they were very generous in working with him and told him what he needed to do to bring the property up to code. And he submitted his money and application, and they cashed his check. And then on about January 11th, he received a phone call from Kristen Sims in the county attorney's office telling him, no, they were returning his money and they were tearing down the house. Either he had to do it or the county was going to do it and lien the property. My question is, why would the county allow this to happen, to create a $40,000 tax base on a piece of vacant land versus allowing this man to come in and do renovations to this house, bring it back up to historical condition, and it's also been verified through the Florida Master Site Files that it does have a applied number for archaeological sites, historical structures. And he's willing to do whatever it needs to be done to bring this back up and create a $650,000 tax base on this house. I'm asking you commissioners to please postpone the county attorney's office from doing any further demolition order on this and allow this man to go forth and complete the property renovations according to code.
Mr. Chairman? I did read your email, and I just want to make sure that you understand there is a short-term rental ban in the county, and so you cannot do this. And
A short-term what?
rental ban, you cannot.
It's not a rental.
Okay, in the letter it says that it was going to be done for like home away or VRBO. And whatever happens, I just want to make sure as you work on your
No.
investment, you cannot.
It'll be a resale. It's not a rental.
Check the email.
Okay.
But we don't really comment during this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Please take that into consideration.
I would like, though, if the
Yes.
county attorney's office would have someone meet with them to go over this issue, because I think it is something significant that you can't issue, to me, you should be issuing a permit and then pulling it back.
The problem is that they didn't timely file for an appeal of the demolition order. It was more than a year old, and staff should have never accepted it when it came in.
Well, at some point, they took a check and processed something forward, so I think we should take a look at it, especially because would seem to me, if I'd rather have a property rebuilt, redone, than just torn down and having nothing. So,
Just trying to comply with your own ordinances, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Hi, Sandy Graves, 21946 Remude Drive, Land O'Lakes, Florida, 34639. I'm just here in support of Joe Steffens and the dock issue and the roofs. I first of all, I want to thank you all because I know you've always paid particular consideration when I come in front of you about the lake conditions and whatnot, and you are very much prone to being a believer in our Land O'Lakes and our lakes, and I appreciate that. I'm a native laker, and this has never been an issue in Land O'Lakes. I am a member of a lake association of the second largest private lake in Pasco County, and it's never been an issue for us. These roofs are part of our scene and they're a beauty of it. So I just want you to go forward with this, and I think Joe's made a good point of these are freshwater lakes, they're private lakes, and just consider that we don't have a problem with it in Land Lakes. Appreciate it, thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Denise Brand, followed by Brant Brand.
You can.
Denise Brand, 3210 B Court, Land O'Lakes, Florida.
Brian Grant, 3210 B Court, Land O'Lakes.
We are connected with a restaurant that is on a lake in Land O'Lakes, Ukulele Brands. Currently, we have seating on a dock that goes out on a little lake. We would like to make changes to the dock, but we are afraid that we would not be able to put a roof over a new dock. Currently, our dock has 3 steps down, so it's difficult for elderly people and people with disabilities to access the dock seating area. So we did not realize until recently that if the existing dock was to be renovated, that we might not be able to put a roof over the new one. And we would like for you to consider roofs being allowed on docks.
Okay, thank you for your comments. That last person? Okay. This time that ends the, is there anybody else that wanted to speak in public comment that has not signed up? Seeing no one, we will move on to consent agenda. I have the following items pulled. C37 withdrew. C39 withdrawn. And then C8 pulled and revised.
Move to approve remaining consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. At this time, we will take C8.
They all go.
I'm so glad they didn't have to drive over here for that.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Great stuff.
Good afternoon. This is for item C8, PDD 190570, an interlocal agreement for Phase 1 of the Cody River Trail underpass and budget amendment. The agenda memo revisions are that the recommended board action now states approve the attached budget amendment, journal number 1686, confirm availability of up to $15,000 in funding for Metropolitan Planning Organization, task order number MPO 19-02, authorize the chair to execute the interlocal agreement and direct board records department to record the interlocal agreement and distribute as set forth under the distribution section below. The distribution section of the agenda memo now had a revision to the first sentence. It now states, board records department to record the interlocal agreement and distribute as set forth below. In the interlocal agreement itself, page 8 of 16, section 10.1, contact information of Scrivener's error was corrected. The county address now reads 8731 Citizens Drive.
Okay.
Move for approval as revised.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. That ends the consent items. We will now go to regular agenda and R1.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you have asked that the county attorney's office come back with amendments to chapter 1001, docks and seawalls, for 3 different topics. Before you is a proposed introduction of the revisions to the various sections, which I will go through. In section 1001.4, visibility, the previous prohibition against roofs, walls, and enclosures attached to docks with the exception of those docks built prior to June 1st of 2010, would be amended to allow roof overs to docks and boathouses on man-made lakes and other man-made bodies of water under private control. That language might have to be finessed a little bit based on this morning's public comment, but generally I had majority of the board who seemed to be in favor of making that change. In section 1001.5, B2, a new section is added, which would allow, this is the issue of exceeding the 1/3 of the total width of the waterway on a dead-end canal. That language would provide that at a dead-end canal, if the property owner owns the corner of that butt end of the canal, they would be able to exceed the 1/3 distance, provided that they don't impair navigability or the property owner on the opposite side's ability to have boat access. In a new section 1001.6, seawall maintenance, that takes the operative language of the Hernando County ordinance that Commissioner Mariano brought forward and adds it to your existing section. It didn't seem to be necessary to redo the whole section of the ordinance when you already had a seawalls and docks ordinance. This is just the section that requires folks to maintain their seawall. I will tell you that there's still some discussion in my office about whether or not the addition of the term public nuisance will help or hurt enforceability. So prior to planning commission, we'd like the discretion to decide which would be in the best interest of the county and either allow it to go forward with public nuisance or take that out. But those are the three sections and we've added some additional definitions that weren't currently in your ordinance in the land development code that seem to be appropriate for that section. Those are the three changes that were directed by the Board of County Commissioners. And if it meets the board's desires, we will move it forward to an ordinance amendment to come back before you.
Chairman's last. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Moore.
Having fun over there. So, but I want to thank the team and your team, Mr. Steinsteiner, for bringing this forward. I know it's been a long time coming, but we had to work through this. So I'm also happy for when we're voting on it today, this is an introduction, but I feel confident that this board will pass this in the coming hearings. One thing you mentioned earlier about maybe changing some language on going back to the lakes. Mm-hmm. When you said man-made, I think we need to add man-made and or private.
What about or natural? You have some natural lakes.
That's what I said, or private lake. Or natural. Mm-hmm. Private could also be natural lakes or man-made lakes.
Okay. So the desire would be private lakes that have no connection to the Gulf or to any other water body.
Exactly, which encompasses every lake we're talking about in Land O'Lakes and Lutz and those areas in Odessa. So that would cover all this. Okay. In those two. So,
you done?
But no, so I appreciate it. But again, thank you for bringing this. Obviously, over the past couple of years, met with quite a few residents, did a lot of site visits, and obviously they're right. There's it's a quality of life issue. We heard from a business today too, which is a great business, and we love going to your place after softball games sometimes, by the way. But I would love to see, obviously, more happen with that and allow you guys to be able to obviously expand as you see fit. And I know what you're talking about the drop down. I'm very familiar with that. So it does make it difficult for some of your seniors or somebody maybe with some with disabilities to maybe access that portion of that dock. So it'll be great for the residents, and it'll help be a little boon to businesses too. So
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioner Sturgeon?
A couple of questions. The first one is, as you know, the people who live on the Gulf have a very different kind of lot configuration than the people on the lakes. And I'm wholly in support of people on the lakes having their boathouses. But when you put that in a tight lot on the water and someone builds a boathouse, then you have no view. The view shed's gone. So I'm not sure what this is saying here. We had talked about roofs over slips, so is that not allowed here?
No,
Okay.
this only allows, the prohibition stays unless the board wants to change it. There are no roofs, walls, enclosures, or other similar visual obstructions shall be allowed, with the exception of those on, right now it says man-made lakes or other man-made bodies of water.
Okay.
So this would only apply to the lake
Lakes.
issue that was raised in the central portion of the county. I
Right.
didn't, frankly, the last several conversations we've had, I didn't think there was a majority of the board that wished to have them in the saltwater regime.
And we're big boaters and we go down to Boca Grande or the Keys, whatever, and so I travel through a lot of jurisdictions on the intercoastal, and the vast majority do not allow any kind of coverage. It's very rare when you find a community who allows coverage on the intercoastal for that reason. But it does say here, permit issued by the county existing as of June 1st, 2010. So are you
That's-
allowing exceptions?
That's your existing ordinance. That's what the ordinance currently reads, because when the prohibition was clarified in the code, that's when it was adopted. You had you had for many years, either with permit or without, people who had constructed roofs. And the board at that time was not interested in going back in those, quote, grandfathered structures. So that date and exception is in your current land development code. It is not something I'm proposing to change.
Okay, and on the seawalls, there are people whose seawalls have fallen in. Is this going to require them to fix them, or are they grandfathered into having their seawalls fall into the channels and canals and waterways?
That is up to the board. The way it is currently written, I do not think that there is grandfathering for.
Okay, because
for
I don't
that
want a
issue.
grandfather.
Right.
I think that's
I mean-
wrong, if they're not keeping up with their seawall.
Yeah. And that was the direction of the board, was to bring something back that required them to fix them, because under the current ordinance, it didn't seem that we had that ability. But that is a public health, safety, and welfare issue, because you affect your neighbor's property if you don't maintain your own seawall.
Yeah, and the safety of the boating community. Okay, then I am good with this.
Okay. Mr. Maron?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as the lakes go, the whole protection of everything, as far as putting a boathouse out there, putting a dock, I'm 100% for it. I think the board was 100% unanimous. There's no issue with anybody doing that, and it should be able to protect their property. I will say that I've been checking with, let's say, a couple of developments, you might say, with Leisure Beach, Signal Cove. I was just at Signal Cove last night. I was at Leisure Beach about 2 weeks ago before that. We talked about the roof ordinance over protecting their boats. And they don't want to see boathouses along these canals to block the view. But everyone except for one person in the 2 meetings put their hands up. I've got pictures of it if you want to show them. Said that they're okay with a roof over a boat lift or dock, just to protect their boat, just the way the gentleman said. These are big, major investments that want to be protected between the sun, the rain, et cetera. It does block a little bit of view, but if you have a boat lift, you're probably looking about another 2 feet. If it's a dock, it's not that much more. I think that as we go through this hearing process, I want to have some language put, ready to switch it over, that if we find out there's enough people that say, well, I want to be able to cover my boat, if I live on a canal, I want to have that right to go do so. It's overwhelming with the people. And there was one lady, actually, when she first put up her hand in the meeting last night, when we first mentioned about putting up there, it was like I asked for a show of hands, and only one lady didn't put her hand up. I says, tell me why. She says, well, I don't want to block the view from what was going on. We talked about it a little bit further, and she even said, you know what, that does make sense. You should be able to protect it. I don't think it'll affect the view that much. I think in a good discussion, which this ordinance setup that we have designed public hearings will come out that way, but I need to have that, I want to have that language ready to go and put out there if the board doesn't, at this point, say we should be able to protect those boats. So, Commissioner Starkey, I know we had issues down there with some building major houses on the water out there, and that's what kind of spurred a lot of concerns, you know, from years ago. But I want you to really think about it and check with your folks and Gulf Harbors, but putting a roof over, and I don't care if you change the pitch or whatever, as long as it's not so bad, but to protect their boats, don't you think a lot of people down there want to protect their boats too?
Well, my boat has a roof. People, I've seen boats up to 40, 50 feet, or 40 feet, where they're putting covers on them. I'm checking right now, but I'm pretty sure the Gulf Harbor Civic Association, and I'm checking with some other communities around there right now, don't want the roofs on the lift, over the boats. So I'm gonna check and we'll see what happens.
Okay, because again, those two communities, and straight conversation, what was coming up, and last night's meeting, I told them exactly this ordinance is coming up now, and I think you even saw an email from one of the people on the board, there's a civic director with Leisure Lane, Carrie Hiller, sent it over saying, hey, we want to see that these, you know, are protected. We have a right to protect our boats.
We have one person that's caused some issues in Gulf Harbors who has a houseboat, not, what do you call those boats? No, those big square ones with a pontoon boat.
Yeah.
And he put a roof over it, and then he put side flaps on it to protect the sides of the boat. It was a huge, huge block. It's just the same as a boathouse. Blocking everyone down the line from seeing out. So it's a pretty contentious issue in Gulf Harbor. So, but I'll have more information for the next meeting.
Yeah, and with that scenario, that's exactly what I don't want to see happen. I'm just talking about covering a boat over, keeping the view shed down through, that's there. Not the boathouse or structured like a boathouse that blocks the view. So I'd like to see some language put in there like that. And maybe the gentleman knows how they actually listed elsewhere where they don't have boathouses on it.
Well, you can't, no.
You can communicate to us maybe after the meeting, but I wouldn't mind input how they do it where they can protect their boat without blocking the view shed. No walls.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I,
Yes.
just a follow-up?
Mr. Moore?
Excuse me. And I can understand, it might take a little more, like you mentioned, a little more due diligence, a little more research on that, and maybe talking to some of the communities on that side. I don't know if a civic association can apply their own rules, similar to an HOA. I can't answer that. So some HOAs would allow, some wouldn't. I don't know if a civic association could. But what I don't want to see, though, happen is that this get held up if we're going to have an intense discussion on those docks. I just want to make sure, for sure, what we have now passes and gets through for the lakes. And if we need to continue that conversation further and bring it back again after this is done, I just want to make sure we don't hold this up, this process up. So if it needs to take longer to do that due diligence and do that research, fine, I'm willing to continue that conversation. I just don't want this portion for the lakes to get held up because we want to add something else.
And again, it's not adding something, it's just, I don't want to compromise something. It was really tough to come back in like 5 or 6 years. I want to get this addressed fully, vetted out there to find out what's the best way to go about it. And if a civic association has special rules, which some of them do for different things, I don't know if Gulf Harbors actually has their own now, but this may inquire them to go make one, because I think theirs expired, correct?
Our
Gulf Harbors? Is it an
Our deed
actual?
restrictions are
No.
not expired.
Okay, so if an association wanted to go separate themselves from it with their own rules, I don't care about that. But if people, let's say Leisure Beach, Signal Cove, if they want to be able to have them, I want to have the right to go have it. So if we can get that ready and do a little more research, that would be great, going forward with it.
Commissioner Mariano, Do they have, they don't have rooftops at all right now over their boat? Just
Well, some
a-
of them do, and, you know, they're done from before, but others want them. I mean, they're, you know, $40,000-$50,000 boats, they want to keep
Yeah.
the sun off them and.
How do
keep the
they
rain
keep
out of
them, how do they keep them? They got covers for them now?
Probably some go through covers or, you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Just go to Google Earth and you can see.
Is that what happens in Gulf Harbors also?
Well, no, we don't have any. There's one that built one and he was sued and, there was a settlement, but I want to say this, you know, we've made a substantial investment in our boat and I sure don't want someone's roof in a wind event flying into my boat. So, there's gonna have to be some kind of engineering or something done because I don't want someone's roof flying into my boat.
Right.
So if we were to go that way, we need to have some kind of protection to all the other boaters that their property is not.
I'm sure we're going to adopt probably the Miami standards if they have such a thing down there for what they've done, so we can make that safe. On the other topic, the seawalls, Mr. County Attorney, I thought I saw some strong language as far as if a seawall had collapsed and they didn't fix it, we'd fine them. If they didn't fix it, even after the fines, we would go in and fix it and lien the property. I don't see any of that type of language in here.
The only thing that is in the Hernando County ordinance is a reference to their basically taking them to their code enforcement board, I guess. Any person or persons, firm, or agent thereof that violates any provision of this article may be prosecuted in a manner provided by Chapter 2, Article 3 of this code. You've got that in your own land development code, so I didn't think it was necessary
Okay.
through
to
our
go-
process.
To go through it further.
Right.
Okay, I just.
So it's already written in the code.
Right.
Yeah, so just the way it was explained to me, if we need to take these steps, we can take the steps to go fix it.
One of two, okay. One of two things would happen. You'd either go through the normal code enforcement process, or we would go forward with an injunction to require the remedy, require them to be fixed. Once you get into you're doing repair on private property and then are going to try and put a lien on the property, that's a whole different can of worms.
Did they do that in Hernando, or do they do that?
I don't think they do. I mean, that, all that is in their ordinance is that reference to Article 2, which my recollection was is their code enforcement process.
Okay, so.
I can go back and look at that, but.
If you would, because, I mean, let's face it, we have one seawall that's completely collapsed, and there's one right now that actually brought this issue up a few months back. So in the middle of two properties, well-maintained, a seawall's been slowly eroding, and I think we might have seen pictures recently on it. What's gonna happen is the two beside it are gonna collapse in, which is gonna make the two beside that collapse in. If a major storm event comes in, you're gonna have a major issue where you could lose a whole bunch of seawalls, and now everybody around the whole area is gonna get affected. So I think we need to go real strong on this to make sure that if they don't fix it in a timely fashion, whatever the timing may be, and I don't know what others have done, but how we look at it, it may be a little bit different than just going out there mowing a lawn for somebody. The repercussions of not getting this fixed quickly could be huge for everybody else around it, so affecting their health and quality of life. So if we
Okay.
can take a look
We
at that, I
can-
appreciate it.
We can look at that. That
So-
section's open, so we could add language to it.
Okay.
Just for your information, I am here on Google Earth, looking in Miami, Key Biscayne, Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale, no roofs over the boats,
Yeah.
none of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't have any ordinances for it,
They have
or
no-
whatever.
they have no covers over their boat.
Okay. Is that all the discussion?
Commissioner, or
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think Commissioner Starkey, you're referring to the saltwater canals.
Yes, I'm not looking at
Okay.
lakes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's because the lots are totally different.
Yeah.
Does anyone have, we have to have a motion on this to approve?
We do, and I'd like clarification. I mean, I need to know whether I need to amend this document before it goes forward to add the language that Commissioner Mariano is talking about.
I don't
Or
want you
whether
to.
we're going forward with it.
I'd like you to keep it as it
tendered
is.
and tweaked.
Right. And then, it's a public,
There will be 3 public
Yeah.
hearings on
We'll see
the
what happens after
process.
Okay.
3?
1 before the planning commission,
Oh,
and
okay,
2 before
gotcha.
you.
Right.
Gotcha. I was like, what? We changed the way we do things. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could I recommend especially that we have the language ready in case there is a huge public outcry for people who live on canals that want to see these, have the right to have it done? At least have the language ready. Secondly, when we do
Yeah.
move this forward, that public hearing for the planning commission, I think should be held on the west side as well.
We actually, Mr. Steinstein, we actually could have that ready if that's the case, and as we're going through the process, we can add that.
We can always attempt to get,
Amend
to address the concern, yes.
Okay. But not
And-
necessarily change it right now, except
and
what
I-
we have now.
Have it ready.
And since my office does not normally take forward land development code amendments, this would have to be coordinated through planning and development.
Okay.
They're the ones who need to be moving this forward. I mean, we'll continue to assist, but
Right.
normally I only bring you amendments to the code of ordinances. This was
Mr. Rosenbaum?
an exception.
Do you understand what
Appreciate
we're
bringing it back
talking
so
about?
quickly.
in this issue? Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
just a clarification, tell me, can you say the language that we changed, in reference to the lakes, the private versus,
Well,
Man-made.
you've asked me to clarify the issue of,
About
that
the
this
lake.
applies to all freshwater lakes,
Uh-huh.
not just those that are
Man-made.
man-made.
Perfect.
And so I'll
Okay.
tweak that
Beautiful,
language
beautiful.
to make
That
that
covers
before
both of them.
it,
Okay.
before it gets released to
excellent. Thank
to
you.
them moving it forward.
Yeah. Mr.
One
Mariano?
last thing, and Mr. Steinschneider, I thank you for bringing these 3 issues up as quickly as they've been done. I know the DACA one's taken a very
Yes.
short period of time. I appreciate it. The dead-end canal thing was phenomenal, how you brought that forward so quickly too, so I appreciate your good work.
yeah.
Okay,
So if you can just move staff recommendation, we'll move this forward.
Move
All right.
staff's recommendation?
I got a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
That completes the regular items. We're moving right along.
Wow.
Now, right now, we will go to old business. And Commissioner Moore,
Keep it light today, I have nothing.
you have nothing.
No, sir.
Okay,
Good.
Commissioner Starkey.
I have a T-BARDA board meeting highlights sheet that I hope you all got. And I want to say we had a person who resigned, one of the governor appointments. Okay, there's really not much that happened, except that we're working on hiring a federal lobbyist, but we did have a member resign, and so I believe there's a governor appointment available, and I think we need to work very hard to make sure it's someone from Pasco County.
Right on, I agree.
All right, so
Yes.
let's get on the phone and call, and I don't know when that needs to be done. Maybe I can work on that, find that out today, but
Great.
we need to get someone's name in. And Tampa Bay Water, we had a record-long executive committee meeting, which all the members attended pretty much, and still working towards making sure we're all on board for TAP, which is the Hillsborough County project where they're, City of Tampa project, where they're taking the Howard Corn reused water or reclaimed water and putting it into
Injecting it, right.
injecting it into the aquifer.
Yeah.
And so I expect action at our next board meeting. And Lectures on the Lawn is February 22nd, so I hope you all will come out. We'll make sure we keep sending out the notices. This is our 3rd try. I understand our staff's on high alert for tornadoes, because the last 2 times I've scheduled it, we've had tornadoes on that day. So hopefully the third time is the charm, and we pull that off. And then we have the ribbon cutting for the Coastal Anklet Trail on the 6th. And on the way here, I was talking with Sam, and we're working on a date for the really big ribbon cutting, which would be the Starkey Gap Trail. So we're gonna have people from all over the state here, and hopefully the Greenways and Trails Council will have their meeting here at the same time. So that'll be a big one. It's being paved as we speak right now. That's it.
That's it? All right. Commissioner Wells was not here this morning, but he'll be here this afternoon. He gets some time this afternoon for his old business, so. Commissioner Mariani?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the Gulf Coast Consortium meeting we had this past week, I appreciate the board giving me the flexibility to become an officer of the committee, and I was made elected as secretary treasurer, so I take that role. So as far as just being on the executive board, now it's even a higher position, which I'm very happy about. At that meeting, we did talk about the Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund. Part of the funding that came from the Triumph spill that the state settlement was, Triumph got 75% of that money, went to the eight panhandle counties that were most affected. The other monies were into that fund, and nothing was allocated the first year, just went to general fund. The consortium is in process of looking at how we can actually take maybe what could be 20% of that money back to the 15 counties, they're a member of the consortium. The 5% that's sitting out there now is currently being looked at by a bill that's in the legislature. So we're taking a look at that issue as it comes forward to try to help us out with that. On another note with SunWest, the new beach sand has now come in, part of the FEMA settlement that the board partially funded. So I think some good things happen out that park as well. So that's all I have.
On that beach sand, have they restructured any of the ground to hold it there instead of when it rains, it washes out?
Well, part of the erosion problem would happen day to day was it just never got maintained. I will tell you that the staff out there is doing such a phenomenal job. Mr. Grubbs from Harbortown is now actually getting involved in trying to help them along as far with ideas and other things to help keep the park up. But as they maintain it, they shouldn't have an issue with it eroding like they did for years by not maintaining it.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yes. And by the way, there's actually a lady that does beach weddings, a lot of them down in Clearwater. She's actually from Key West, and she's actually interested in actually taking a look out there, and we'll bring her out with staff, maybe do some beach weddings out there as we progress down the road.
Okay. That's everything?
Yeah.
All right.
Your pictures?
Mr. Biles?
Oh, just,
Oh,
I've got pictures on the screen. That was from, that one there is from Signal Cove last night. You see the one lady with her hands together? She was the one lady that says, I'm not sure about the beach, the roof covers, but later on we talked about it further. That's the board of directors that supported the full. And the other picture, the picture before that was the Leisure Beach meeting from the previous, where everybody went up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Biles?
Yes, sir. Just two brief things. One, just a reminder, tomorrow we're having the groundbreaking for Touchpoint Medical at their facility there off of State Route 54. Just a reminder, I think most of y'all have already got an invite and RSVP to that, but just a reminder that it's big, just like Metler Toledo, it's the next big domino that's happening, and we use our expedited plan review process to get them a permit pretty quickly through the process. So good things there, and they're ready to rock and roll on that site. The other one is Mark mentioned briefly during his annual report the discussion about employee engagement, best places to work for, and kind of how we did this year on the survey. And at that time, he didn't have our final ranking. There were 100 large companies that applied for a best place to work for. And this year we finished 33rd out of 100. Still not where we want to be, but that's a significant progress over where we were. And again, the way the employees feel about working for Pasco County directly results in the way we provide customer service to the people that live, work, and play here. So it's an important feedback loop for us as to how our employees feel about working here. So just wanted y'all to be aware that's where we are. We expect to be in the top 25 next year and shooting for #1 eventually. So that's where we are on that.
Out of what area?
So that's the Tampa Bay region,
Okay.
and that's we only compete against large companies. So I think that's companies, I think over 500 employees, but I could be wrong.
Nice.
I could be wrong with that number. They got small, medium, and large companies, and we compete in the large category. So, and that's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Steinsteiner?
I don't have anything today, thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
I have a couple of event reminders. Last board meeting, I talked about our Big Shred event that was to occur. It did occur last weekend. It was in Dade City, and the weekend before that, it was in Newport Richey, and it was very successful. 7.5 tons of documents that individuals brought to get shredded that contained personal or confidential information. We have 3 events coming up. Our first event is February 14th, Valentine's Day, for our Valentine's Day ceremony, and it will be done right here outside in front of the fountain. The last day to get a license, if you want to participate in that and get married, will be Monday, February 11th. The wedding is at 2 p.m. on Valentine's Day. Then we have our All-American Youth Art Walk. That is where we have partnered with the school board, and students from kindergarten through 12th grade provide us artwork, and we display them in the courthouses. And then you get to see the artist's name, their medium that they chose, and the artist will actually be there, and we have cake and punch to celebrate them. They bring a lot of joy and happiness to our courthouse, where we know that everyone is having a rough day when they enter those doors. The last event that I want to talk about is Passport Day. Our office is doing a Passport Day on Saturday, March 16th, so you don't have to take time off of work or wait for spring break when the kids are out of school to come and get a passport. It is going to be an event from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, March 16th. They'll be in Dade City and Newport Richey's government centers if you're interested in going. For the Big Shred event, I wanted to say thank you to the county's recycling department. Amazing job working with our office. Covanta also helped provide the services. Thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Debbie Gay, our Director of Records. She put together all of these projects and events for us and our community, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. The only one thing I have is put on your calendars, February 18th through the 24th is a Pasco County Fair. It starts off with a 3:30, 4 o'clock time for the milk off, and all of your commissioners and clerk, county administrator, county attorney are invited to participate in milking a cow. I'm actually going to be milking a cow against former Commissioner Sylvia Young. So I know she can beat me at milking a cow, so, but
What time is that?
it'll be fun. It's 3:30 or 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I think, is when the milk-off actually starts, so you need to be there a little early.
What,
Well,
well,
be
I
there
have
a
to be
little
in Clearwater, so what?
Say 3:30. That gets you 30 minutes early.
I won't be early. I can tell
I'm
you.
trying to get you early if you
I
just
have to
put that
fly
date.
in a helicopter.
Is it parade
Okay.
that day?
Do what now?
They're doing parade? Parade?
There is a parade, I believe, that day. I don't know what time that starts. Probably 11, 11:30. Ends, out at the fairgrounds, I guess. We can check and see. We'll let you know. I'll get Marie to check and let all of you know. But please let us know that you're going to attend and be a participant, and we'll let the fair know that you will be there. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Anybody got anything else? All right, we'll adjourn for lunch break at this time, and we'll be back here at 1:30 for public hearing, resolutions and public hearing. Thank you.
You want to meet now? Oh, wait, am I supposed to be with you?
Call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioner meeting of February 5th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone present to please silence all electronic devices. At this time, we have resolutions. Madam Clerk?
Is there anyone here representing economic development? You could come forward, please. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Newspapers and education, sorry.
did the wrong one, but that was
He was quick. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the clerk. So.
Sue Bedry, 6330 Citation Drive, Port Richey.
Jody Pushkin, 16212 Sage Road, Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay, great. Thank you. Resolution number 1985, whereas Newspaper and Education Week, NIE, an initiative of the American Press Institute, is an international program that encourages the use of the daily newspaper as an instructional classroom tool and is celebrated annually during the first school week in March. And whereas through NIE, newspapers are used with all classroom subjects as a progressive teaching resource for students from primary through adult education levels. And whereas the newspaper provides teachers with contemporary informational texts that engage students and relate academic learning to real-world experiences. And whereas helping a child learn and love to read is the ultimate goal to improve students' chances for success in school and beyond. And whereas research tells us the best way to help children discover the joy of reading and become lifelong readers is to involve them early and often. And whereas for more than 40 years, the the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program is proud to serve educators, students, and families throughout Tampa Bay by providing classroom newspapers, companion materials, and instructional support at no cost to schools, teachers, or students, in addition to partnering with Pasco County Recycling Program for over a decade to produce award-winning recycling educational materials. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the week of March 4th through March 8th, 2019, as Newspaper and Education Week and commends the Tampa Bay Times for participating in the program. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 5th day of February 2018, signed by the board.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we are proud and happy to partner with the County Commission and with the School District of Pasco County. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for all you did. Would you like to say something also?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, thank you so much. We enjoy serving the constituents of Pasco County, and we appreciate all you do.
Okay. Wait right there, and we'll come down and have a picture. Come on, guys.
Okay.
Go ahead and hold the resolution.
Resolution 2.
Okay, is anyone here representing Economic Development Week? Really? Thank you. Resolution number 1986, whereas Economic Development Week is an event created by the International Economic Development Council to celebrate the achievements of economic developers. And whereas the Florida Economic Development Council, FEDC, is a nonprofit organization established in 1964, which represents Florida's economic workforce and community developers. And whereas the FEDC has endorsed recognizing Economic Development Week to celebrate the contributions of economic developers to Florida's business climate, job retention and growth, tax base, and overall quality of life. And whereas Pasco County and the Pasco County Economic Development Council, active members of the FEDC, promote economic well-being and quality of life for Pasco County by facilitating the creation, retention, and expansion of jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in Pasco County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the week of February 11th to the 15th, 2019 as Economic Development Week in Pasco County and recognizes the work of all economic developers and their partners, acknowledging the importance of the profession in advancing career opportunities and improving quality of life. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 5th day of February 2019, signed by the board.
Move approval. Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Time to vote.
Welcome.
Thank you. And just a quick word of recognition for each of you. We can't do what we do without you all continuing to keep this a very pro-business environment, keeping our regulation process really easy to get through, providing great partnerships with our staff, and then especially the business community. So I'm going to borrow something that your county administrator said earlier today. Every week is Economic Development Week, not just this next week. We celebrate it all week long, but we do thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you do, Bill. I mean, y'all do a great job, and I think I heard our administrator say the other day we should be doing that every day, recognizing what PDC does for us in this county, and a lot of growth, and we appreciate it. Everybody join me. Anybody that wants to say anything before we go down? All right, join me down below with the pictures. Resolution 3.
Is there anyone representing Prodigy Cultural Arts Month? You could come forward, please. Oh, boy. Oh, look at that.
Who is that?
Resolution number 1984, whereas Prodigy is a research-based prevention and diversion program for all at-risk youth ages 5 to 18, which uses visual and performing arts as a way to help young people develop life skills. And whereas Prodigy Cultural Arts Month is an opportunity to recognize the transformation and artistic talents of at-risk youth and pay tribute to the positive transformation that takes place in the lives of those youth. And whereas in February, individuals can attend annual Prodigy Cultural Arts Program showcases throughout Central Florida, spotlighting the artistic talents of program youth. And whereas the Prodigy Cultural Arts Program showcases allow attendees to view various art forms such as dance, music production, vocal performance, painting, photography, drums, keyboard, guitar, sculpture, drawing, spoken word, and creative writing. And whereas Prodigy Cultural Arts Program participants benefit from the asset-based youth development model, which infuses cultural art lessons with life skills, such as communication, leadership, problem-solving, anger management, career aspirations, and goal setting. And whereas by altering juvenile behavior, the Prodigy Cultural Arts Program prevents and diverts youth from moving deeper into the juvenile justice system, thus saving the state money, improving our communities, and transforming young lives. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby proclaims February 2019 as Prodigy Cultural Arts Month in Pasco County, and urges all citizens to join in recognizing the value of the Prodigy Cultural Arts Program and the importance it serves for our at-risk youth across Central Florida. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 5th day of February 2019, signed by the board.
Move to approve.
And a
And,
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I apologize for being late. My errands took me much longer than I thought they would, but I'm so glad that I'm here and that you're here, and that is awesome. So I met these guys at Metropolitan Ministries. They run a class there, and then I went and toured their facility down in Hillsborough County. I was just blown away. I know, I think Amber, is it Amber that's been down there? So I encourage everyone to go down and take a look at what they're doing, and we are very excited to be hopefully, and we're planning on bringing you all up here. So please approach the mic and explain a little bit about what you do and your artist and how this came about. And then we'll come down and congratulate you.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Starkey, for your support of the program. And I actually want to turn this microphone over to our new Chief Operations Officer of the University Area CDC, Josie Rocco, who also used to be the program manager for the Prodigy Cultural Arts Program.
Good afternoon. We really just wanted to take a minute to say on behalf of the University Area CDC, we want to thank you for your support with the expanding of the Prodigy program within Pasco County. We also wanted to thank Kathy Pearson for supporting the Library and Parks Recreation, Parks and Rec partnership that we're working on at this time. So just thank you guys a lot for your support.
And can you introduce the artist?
So,
Were you the artist?
I can actually
No.
introduce, these,
Yeah.
these are my coworkers. The artist
Okay.
is Junior Polo?
I met him at
Is Junior Polo.
Yeah.
He is actually the instructor at Metropolitan Ministries. All of our instructors, what makes them so unique is they are all professional
Yeah.
instructors. So can I color in the lines? Of course I can. Well, I hope I can. But I would not be a good instructor. So they teach they're true artists that teach their passion and their skill to the youth throughout West Central Florida. So.
And the kids in the program were painting that painting at Metropolitan Ministries. So,
Yes.
and I don't have a check on me, but I have one in the car if you want to hang around, but I'm going to pay you for that painting. And again, any other commissioner who would like a self-portrait to hang in your office, I'm sure they'd be happy to do one too. I'm going to make
Definitely.
Who's that
Definitely.
picture of?
Yeah, who is that young lady?
Who is it? Y'all doing pretty good.
That is really fun.
It's coming up. Brendan is.
Okay, so.
Send it to him and he can email it to me.
Okay. Yeah, no.
I know y'all are jealous.
Kathy, you ought to get up there with them.
Thank you. We don't have a long day, so just ready to Thank you.
Thank you.
We can hang it right here. Ronnie will love that.
No, what we're really going to do is put it in her chair when she's not here and she's late.
And I was calling on the phone to put it up.
Save that picture. I'm thinking about putting a garden in. Oh, yeah. Now we have a walk-on resolution. Take the title only.
Do you need a motion to?
Oh, yeah, the motion.
Oh, I need a motion.
Move to approve the walk-on?
Second?
Emergency walk.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. It's resolution number 1993. I'll read by title only. A resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, expressing appreciation to Karen V. Patel, Deputy Clerk for the Office of the Clerk and Controller, for her 12 years of outstanding service to Pasco County. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 5th day of February 2019, signed by the Board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
passed.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll move on into public hearing items, or the first P1 ordinance.
Do you have proof?
Yes?
Tampa Bay Times, January 11th, 2019.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. Today is the first reading on this ordinance. I will read the title. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 900, Development Standards, amending Section 901.8, Pedestrian Facilities, and creating new subsections 901.6.E.5, Standards for Driveways for Residential Construction, and 901.6.E.6, Standards for Paver Driveways and Sidewalks, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, and inclusion into the Land Development Code and an effective date. This item comes to you because the Land Development Code does not have any provisions for the use of paver, driveways, apron areas in the right-of-way, or sidewalks. Also, Pasco County has relied in the past on the right-of-way use permit to show the standards for those for the driveways, and this actually codifies current practice. This item was presented to the horizontal roundtable and interested parties meeting both on April 18, 2018, December 19, 2018, came to the Board of County Commissioners for introduction on January 22, 2019, and this went to the local planning agency, who found the proposed ordinance amendments consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners, and that was on January 24th, 2019. So today we ask that you accept public comment. There is no action required by the board today on this item, as this is the first of two public hearings. The adoption hearing is set for February 19th, 2019 at 1:30 in Newport Richey, and I'm here for any questions on this item.
I don't have a sign-up sheet. Nicole, there's not any? Okay. Is anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing no one.
Wrong. We don't vote.
No action.
We go to P2.
Do you have proof? Tampa Bay Times, June 22nd, 2018.
Item P2 is PDD 18 CU 27. This is for Patricia Weber Festmeyer North American Towers LLC. It was for a conditional use for 195-foot above ground level monopole wireless facility in an AC agricultural district. The applicant has requested that the item be continued to a BCC date uncertain, and staff is in favor of that continuance request.
Okay, this item's to be continued.
To a date uncertain for the Board of County Commissioners.
All right.
Move to continue?
Second.
No, I don't think we need it.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Second.
got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
It'll have to be re-advertised, but you're technically continuing the item.
Okay. All right. P3.
Do you have proof? Tampa Bay Times, January 18th, 2019.
Item P3 is PDD 19-0193. It's for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAL 1901, Project Arthur. And this is a recommendation to continue the item to the March 12, 2019 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
P4.
Do you have that? Tampa Bay Times, December 21st, 2018.
You've only got one item, but I'll read the procedures. There are two rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. The staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval, and there's no opposition. The application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, The applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or planning commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record.
It could have been done already.
Yep.
I don't have a sign-up sheet. Anybody signed up? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this item?
Or for,
Not?
okay. Do you want me
Did
to swear?
Denise announce the?
I haven't announced the item yet.
Yeah, so
Oh,
let's
excuse
do
me.
that first.
We're not swearing anybody? Okay.
Go ahead.
Item P4 is PDD 197375 in the name of Albert J. and Zerelda Capdevilla. It's a change in zoning from an AC agricultural district to an AR agricultural residential district. This item comes to you with a recommendation of approval from both Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Seeing none, leave it on consent.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you.
Now, that concludes public hearing items. This time we go back to old business and Commissioner Wells.
Yes, I've got a couple things. First, and I don't know if any of you seen, that Senator President Galvano has a resolution for the state to work on the Suncoast Expressway going up to Georgia as an alternative route. I would like to see us as a board write a resolution in support of that. It's something I can get to each one of you, but I know that several counties in our region are supporting that, and I think it makes sense. That's the first thing, and then we're having the Moon Lake cleanup, which I know that I spoke to all of you about a month ago, and I just need to get approval for us to use funds out of general fund to pay for whatever the expense is for that event. Okay,
All right, had a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Wait, what's motion are we voting on?
Discussion?
for the Moon Lake. Well, do we need to vote on the resolution? We'll just bring it and they can look
Just
at
need
it.
direction for
So
us to
I'm not in
prepare one.
favor of that at this time. I think one day there may be demand for it, but I'd rather see the funds be spent in other places.
But, and I can show you the resolution, and let you look at it. I don't disagree, but the issue comes in with 75 last year with this, people couldn't get out. I'll get it to you, and then as a board, we can make the decision before it comes to us. If you don't agree, then we'll talk through that. So is that correct? Is that, okay.
Fair enough.
Is that okay to the board, the rest of the board?
Okay.
Okay, and then that was a second on the Moon Lake cleanup, taking money from general fund. Did we already?
That was what we voted on.
Yes.
Motion is second, haven't voted yet.
Okay, we haven't voted yet.
We haven't voted yet. So you ready?
Yep, yes, sir.
All
Yes,
those in
Chairman.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and are we
Motion
ready with
passed.
the other thing? So this morning, I apologize that I was not here. I was representing Pasco County. Got to spend the morning at Brasher Park in Port Richey. This is the first time that Duke Energy has ever done this. If you didn't know, they have a facility up in Citrus County at the plant where they raise redfish, and they release the redfish in Levy County, Citrus County, and Hernando County. This year, from last year, because of the red tide and us being affected from the red tide, as well as 7 other counties, they're releasing redfish in each of those counties to help with the stock. So this morning, I was able to be at Brasher Park to speak on our behalf and thank Duke Energy for their great partnership, as well as CCA and FWC, and witness the release of 2,000 redfish, 4 to 6 inches, and I believe 30 large ones. So I just got a couple pictures. I know Adam was out there with me. It was a good turnout. It was pretty awesome. So I wish it wasn't on a board day, because I know, you all would have liked to have been there too, but. Just show the pictures, yeah. I don't know if there's repeats on the pictures, but if there is, I apologize. So there's the young lady releasing, and you can see they're big. 30 of them are about that size. Breeder fish, so they're oversized. They tagged every fish. So all 2,000 small will be tagged as well as each one of these fish.
So I should go out this afternoon?
Maybe. So there's the big tanks they had where they had the fish. It was pretty cool. It was pretty neat to witness this. I've never seen this done. There's the size of the ones. They released 2,000 of those size redfish, and again, each one's tagged, which ideally is so you release them, take pictures of the tag and release it back. There we go. That guy broke the bag. I had to run him over to the water real quick because he was so big. So there's a little guy. He was like, I want to try it. Obviously, he couldn't lift it, but it was neat to see the kids there wanting to help. And then there's kind of, you can see a lot of media, a lot of local folks there, a lot of guides there supporting it. Okay. And there's the hose, and I think we got a little video Adam took of them releasing it. There's, I forgot her name from Duke.
Yeah.
I apologize. She was our representative 3.5 years ago. Now she's oversees the whole West Coast. And then that's Brian, who's the head guy for CCA for the state, and then Tom Grafe, who's the head guy for FWC over the state. Lucky to have them. Don't know what that is. So, yeah, okay, Leisure Beach, okay. Just show the video. It's not really much to see, but it's kind of cool that they literally just open up the tanks and the fish go out the tube. And these are the little fish, so because obviously the big ones would get stuck. So you can see them all coming out. It was pretty neat. It was we're the first stop they're going to do of the 8 counties, so turnout was great. A lot of folks there. So you can see them kind of darting away, but they're probably all hanging in the mangroves now.
Hope there weren't any dolphins around.
No, the dolphin, there was one, but he left. So I'm sorry I wasn't here. I know there wasn't much on the agenda, but it was pretty neat. Like I said, this has been the first time in my lifetime we've had this release in Pasco County. It means a lot to tourism as well as, just jobs and everything else. So it was pretty exciting. And that's all I have.
Now they need to do some snow.
I don't disagree. We're working on it. I think we maybe have a plan for that. So.
All right. That's all?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Steinstein?
Mr. Chairman, before you adjourn, I've put in each of your blue folders at the lunch break, based on the public comment that you received this morning about the demolition on Bellamy Brothers Road Boulevard. I've attached the copy of the notice of order of demolition. You will note it's January 26, 2018. It's a full year ago. But more importantly, the letter from the Department of State, which, while the speaker identified that this was on the Register of Historic Places, the letter that was given to Community Development from the Department of State says, however, based upon its current condition, the property no longer appears to retain sufficient integrity to be considered eligible for listing in the NRHP. Therefore, the proposed demolition of the property will have no effect on the properties listed or eligible for listing in the NRHP. Just because the speaker identified that it was, why were we demolishing something that was on the Register of Historic Places? Again, we're just trying to comply with the ordinance that the board has in place.
Okay.
Mr.
Anyone
Chairman?
else?
Yeah, just Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And I appreciate the research, Mr. County Attorney. But in light of a gentleman going up and buying a piece of property, relying on information from the county that he's going to be able to rebuild it, being issued a permit that we could rebuild it, is there any way that we can actually look to get this matter reconsidered before we have it demolished? I mean, the man spent money, had a permit issued. I mean, is this something we can do? I mean, someone made a private investment in a piece of property in Pasco County.
The problem is that this is another one of those, I can't control what staff indicates to the public, and at the person that they spoke to is at such a level that it would not be binding on the board. without amending the ordinance to create a new window. I mean, we're talking a year out of, that the proposed order had been there for a full year, and in fact, it was recorded and they knew about it. The precedential problem with taking in a late appeal at this point in time with the entire program is something that would have to be weighed. We can look at this some more, but my inclination is that it is what it is. The appeal was not timely. They bought a property where the appeal had not been perfected. They knew there was a demolition order on the property. And at this point, we don't even know that the structure is capable of being rehabbed.
And again, if the consideration was there to do it and there was found a way to do it, again, I feel bad that someone bought a piece of property, relied on staff information, and now we're gonna make them tear it down. And you say that they knew of the demolition order?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not
They
sure,
did.
I'm not sure if they did because of, I don't know that they did a title search. If they'd have done a title search, they would have sent the demo.
Well, the correspondence from the realtor said she informed the buyer before he closed.
Oh, okay.
So
He knew that.
that's what I'm basing my opinion on.
And further, in his letter to the congressman, he said, we plan to make this a high-end rental, short-term rental home.
I saw that.
Which is not allowed.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
One other item?
Okay.
Just something, if anybody wants to take a look at, I've got a letter here showing a letter of support for the National Comedy Hall of Fame. If you board members would take a look at it, if you want to send one on your own.
I sent one in.
Yeah, that's great.
It has to go in today.
It has to go in today, so if you do it, take a look at it. You can insert your name, I know mine.
I did one.
I sent one out yesterday.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah, do it today.
Yeah, we did. I don't know if Mr.
All
Wells,
right, fantastic, then I'll set.
if Mr. Wells needs one or something, we can get it out today for him.
Okay. Go ahead, thank you.
Okay. That been all? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.